that we'll be talking about on tea or coffee. My name is God's Time David. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Fine.
We slept well, right?
Yes, I did. Did you?
Oh, sure, I did.
You look well rested, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Okay.
So we're talking about sport management, and we're directing it to football. Now, so when you hear sport, what comes to mind?
Oh, well, you said it all. Argument. That is one thing. Like, men argue a lot when it comes to football. And not just football, I think sports generally, but football more. And what also comes to mind is, I don't know, but I used to like football, but then I think it comes with a lot of skill, and then you have to do a lot of exercise because you need strength and, you know, be able to move your body.
Oh, wait, like playing?
Yes.
Are you kidding me right
to play
now?
Football.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Really
Yes,
cool.
to be able to move your body. Don't you see always Musa when they are shooting their shots? You know, you need to have done a lot of exercise and, you know, stretching and the likes to be able to pull out those, you know, pull off those kind of shots.
Yeah. So, I also think that sport management is kind of broad. It's an interdisciplinary field that delves into, you could say, marketing, law, different aspects. Because when you talk about sport management, you have people who would buy players. And of course, when you talk about the marketing aspects, before you have a football game, maybe Premier League or something, most teams, most clubs would like to put out adverts, billboards. Yes. You see those billboards out there. So I think marketing as well plays a vital role in sport management. And then talking about laws in sports, just like everything, every other field, I also think that sports, they have laws. For instance, there are things you cannot just do. You sign contracts, you sign a contract, you have to wait till, except something happens along the line, but you must have a very good reason to want to back out.
And I know we have the under 21 and all those teams like that, you know, and I feel, well, I will be talking about that to an extent because I know sometimes you see a 34-year-old looking man, you know, that says is 18 years old, and you're like, okay, what's happening? You know, did you grow up so fast? So I really want to know why they do that, if there's, you know, it's necessary to actually fake their age of some sort.
Well, I didn't say they're faking it. You said
I said it. Yes.
I didn't say they're faking it.
We know these things. Come on.
Well, I think football, just like every other sport, has age limits.
True.
Not just sports. There are jobs application you would want to apply for. They will tell you, they will give you age limits. And I also think that you get to a particular point in your life where you can no longer do strenuous activities. So you just stick to those age limits. That's why.
And like I said earlier, when I started the show, like it's amazing how, you know, they start sports that we used just play around and nobody really. I think back then it wasn't really something like we told your parents, I want to be a footballer. I want to start playing basketball. They're like,
what's that?
Why? Go to school, learn, become a doctor, become a lawyer, you know. But then it is so lucrative to the extent that people are even telling their children now, go and train, learn how to play football. I think you know, because now it's so profitable and people are actually venturing into it. So, you know, I'm glad I will talk about it today so people can learn more about the business side, you know, in terms of sport management and focusing on football.
And also, sports, I think, helps you relax.
Yes,
it helps you, exercise. It takes away stress. That's why you see men love football because after they've gone through a lot of stress, they want to relax. They want to chill. Not just men. I love football.
I love watching football.
I love to watch. Yeah, so it helps you relax. It gives you this. You don't think of any other thing. Your mind is just there, seeing two people play. And I also think that football, it's not just there for entertainment.
Yes.
I think football was also created to foster unity between two countries, between two communities. That's why most communities, most most countries, they just organize football. They just organize football
match.
Yes, for people to get to know each other.
Yeah, that's why we have the friendly matches and the likes.
Yes, yes. So let's not talk like authorities in this field. We're going to be taking a short break right now. When we come back, we're having our guest in the house to do justice to this topic. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
And today we are talking about the business side to football. You know, that is sports management, football. Okay, so today we have our guest in the studio here with us, and his name is Olumide Omotosho. He is a football/sport director. Good morning.
Good morning. I want to call you Elu.
Okay.
Welcome.
Now,
Thank
what
you.
did you study in school?
My bachelor's, I did business accounting.
Business accounting. So how
Yes.
did football come to play?
It's just passion. It's just, you know, the love of the game, passion, and it's just something I've always loved growing up till this moment, and that's just it.
Okay, so the question I like asking most times, how did your parents take it?
Oh, well, that's a very, very good and complicated question.
Okay.
Well, I was much younger. I come from a family where they're very disciplined. You know, the typical African disciplined family. Go to school, after school, get a job, you know, and so on. But I was different, you know. I did just want to be like everyone. And I was very stubborn. Very, very rebellious. And I would not listen. My cousins, like my whole family, they were all, you know, educated, straightforward. And I go, yes, I want to be educated, but why can't I do both?
Okay.
I can be educated and still play football. I mean, they don't have to be conflicting. And my parents would not agree. All right, so the deal was to appease them by doing my bachelor's. Yeah, that was, but then it didn't work out.
Wow.
And they were like, okay, you've done your bachelor's, why would you still want to go play football? I mean, you're not going to use your degree. I'm like, oh, so now you realize this, but before. But anyways, over the years, they saw I still had the passion, I still had the drive. After my degree, I still continued to play football, you know, and they had no choice.
But I must say your degree should help now because, you know, the knowledge you acquired then
Of
should help
course.
because now you are a sports/football director.
Yes, I just completed my master's.
It's not, because it's not just the degree. You have masters in sport management.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah? So you manage people. You're a coach,
Correct.
right? Yeah. So you already have experience. How do you scout for talents? How do you identify, you see this person, I'm like, okay, this person has the talent. How do you do that?
I think the first thing is to understand what scouting is. It's good to have the right scout, the personnel, and the best thing to do is to catch kids when they are kids, basically. You can't scout for adults.
Okay.
The best thing to scout for is potential.
Potential.
You see the potential, you analyze that this person in 5, 10, 15 years is going to become a great person, is going to become a star. Then you see the drive and the person and the passion, and you scout them when they're much younger, and that's just the best thing to do. And then it's not just enough to scout. You should put a system in place to manage them while they grow. You might have 2 different talents, but because of the different management levels, they will grow differently.
Okay, so he's catching them young, and I want to catch your attention. Please do stay glued because we'll be right back. Tea or coffee continues shortly.
Okay.
Exclusive to High Impact Television.
Morena. A couple of days before getting married, she finds Oscar, her fiancé, cheating on her. Morena escapes from her pain by traveling away from her life to a beautiful place in the jungle. There, she meets Leo, the man who saves her from a jaguar attack. Due to a photograph in the bag that Morena had lost, Leo realizes he is not who he thought he was. So he travels to the city to find out about his real origins, not aware that he belongs to the Sireños, a wealthy and powerful family. Leo gets involved in the murder of Morena's grandfather by Aldo Sireño, so they will have to overcome the barriers that will emerge in their lives, so they can live their passion. Morena.
Weekdays on High Impact Television.
We've come a long, long way together, through the hard times and the good. I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should.
I'd love to perform in front of thousands of people.
Definitely want to be as big as Little Mix.
I want to be a singer, I want to win the X Factor because I want to be a star. I've waited for this all my life.
I'm going to be as big as Beyonce.
I have the X Factor.
Everyone's dreaming of being the biggest pop star on the planet. But today, for them, the centre of the universe is right here. In Manchester!
I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel like a good creeping up on me.
Welcome back to Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. We're still talking about sport management. Of course, we're narrowing it down to football. We have a guest in the house, Olumide Omotosho.
Motosho.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so before we went on the break, we're talking about how to scout for talents.
Yes.
And you were trying to say that you have to look out for
Catch them
potentials.
young.
You
Yeah.
catch them young.
Yeah.
Now, is it at that age you start making referrals? At what age do you start making referrals?
The thing with kids is you have to be careful because potentials, like I said, could be anything. The kids could have a drive for football, but the thing with football, like other sports, is it's broad, and very, very wide. You might find a kid who has the passion for football, but there's a passion for playing football for coaching, of being an analyst or an agent.
Oh.
That's the thing. So if the kid has a passion for football, then you start coaching, you start mentoring, you start training. But then there are kids who are glued to the TV watching football and they know these things, football news, they follow players on social media. And you have to be careful in, asserting what kind of field in football would they be best applicable to. So like I said, some might become sports scientists. This is where education comes in. So like I said, education also goes hand in hand in football. They don't have to complete each other.
Okay, so you coach them in all aspects?
All aspects, yes.
Man, psychology, we're bringing in psychology as well, because you have to understand them.
Correct. That is why if you look at, sorry to cut you short, if you look at most advanced football clubs, they don't just have coaches, they don't have just the doctors, they also have psychologists, like you said, to analyze different aspects of their mental, awareness.
So psychology kind of cuts across most professions these days.
Yes, because we talked about HR yesterday and we still related it to psychology. Okay.
Yes, so, sorry.
Yeah.
So when you coach them, training takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
Regardless whether it's to play or to be sports analyst or scientist, as the case may be. So how do you help them cope with school and, training and the likes?
Yeah, there has to be a balance. They have school. They go to school in the morning. They get back in the afternoon, and then afterwards they train till evening. That's just it. There's a balance.
Okay.
And it's very important for their parents to be as enthusiastic as in the sports as they are, because a child who loves football and that same child does not get the same encouragement at home, only at school or at training, but not at home. It's not the growth, the development is not going to be as as optimizing as if it is all balanced at home as well.
Okay, so you have to strike a balance.
Exactly.
Of course. All right. So talking about football, a football coach and a football manager. What are the similarities?
There are similarities and there are also things that set them apart. A manager has more role to play, more responsibility in the club. A coach is just, I can say, it's just an on-field, responsibility. While a manager is also involved in the buying of a player and the scouting system, in the negotiation of contracts and so on and so forth. A manager also is responsible for hiring other coaches. There's a fitness coach, there's an attacking coach, a defensive coach, a goalkeeper's coach. These are all coaches, but then the manager is in charge of all of them.
Okay, so from what you've said,
yes.
Which do you fall in? Are you a coach? Are you a footballer? Are you a manager?
Analyst,
yeah.
One?
So which?
I can say a bit of everything. I play football. I'm still very active. I still play football.
Okay.
I've coached in the past, and right now I'm a manager. Because the thing is, there's a step. You can't just jump into being a manager. You must have the experience, the expertise it takes, the knowledge, and this does not come in one day. It comes over time.
Okay, so let that lead me to asking, must you be a footballer before you can be a coach or a manager?
Not necessarily, no. It is preferable to have had active experience, because you don't know how things work on the field. So it's not just the theoretical knowledge, but also the practical knowledge.
Okay.
So it's more like before you start a business, you have to understand what the business is all about before you get into it. Or even if you have to employ other people, you have to understand what the business is all about.
Correct.
Okay,
Talking about, sorry. Talking about business, everybody, okay, we know we all get into our career as a result of passion. Now let's just live passion. How lucrative is football? Because I know they buy players with good money.
Yes, that was what I actually wanted to ask. That I hear buy players, and I think that's where money comes in. When a player is bought, you're like, money and money.
Yes, I know they buy players with really good money. So, how is this business? I don't know. You should explain.
The money in football is much more than buying players.
Okay.
It's much more than that. There are market shares in football. These clubs have they have huge amounts of investments. There's commercial activities going around. A player's worth is not just on how much the player has been bought. You know, the player might be bought for, say 50 million, you know, hypothetically speaking. But then the player brings in much more than 50 million, you know. So the club pays to buy a player for 50 million, but what the club gets is the player and a huge amount of money from commercial activities, from endorsement, from shirt sales, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of money flowing around, not just the money we see or hear of.
So it's not just about buying players.
No.
Endorsements
It's much, much bigger than that.
Okay, so now you are into football. Are you doing anything on the side aside that? Or you're just fully into coaching?
When you mean
playing?
anything, can you
Like
elaborate?
any other
Like a
job,
side
like
business
a side
or
job?
A side job,
Is it just
no.
football?
It's just
That
football.
means it's that lucrative.
Very.
Why? No, why?
That's
Because
where I
there
was
are other-
going to.
like, there are other careers where you work and then you have a business. So why is it just football?
Football.
No, I mean, people have businesses. You know, footballers,
Okay.
everyone, we have like, you know, a business on the side to get in the extra cash. I also do, but it's just like strictly football for me. And sports in general.
Okay, right. So let me come back to education. I'm aware at least that most footballers in some countries, I wouldn't want to mention any, in some countries,
Yeah.
do not go to school, apart from maybe some European countries where they have academies and the like. So
Yeah.
why is it that footballers, they just make them just stick to football, not go to school? Why?
I would like to address that. That is a misconception from this
Okay.
part of the world we are in. You know, I talked about my past, about how I was able to balance education, how I'm still able to balance education and football. You know, it's very, very fundamental that footballers are educated. You know, because football is just for a period of time. Playing actively, I mean, it's just for a period of time. Now, what will these footballers do when they're past their peak, when they've retired? What do they fall back on? You know, we can't go on playing football forever. That aside, there are those who would try to play football but would not get there. You know, the slot for footballers is much, much lesser than the footballers who are aspiring to play football. So not everyone will play football. Those who don't make it, once they realize that, look, it's time for me to change plans, what would they do if they are not educated? So it's very important to keep them educated. And like you said, the more advanced parts of the world, their academies have education systems. You know, they go to schools. The academies sponsor them to schools, to the classes. They bring them back to the academies with accommodation, and then training starts. That is how it should be. It's not supposed to be strictly football.
Okay.
Okay, now someone is watching now and saying, football is very lucrative. I want to start playing football. I want to enter into the football, should I say football business? Yeah, so how can I start?
You said two different things. You want to start playing football, or
Okay,
you
I
want
want
to
to start playing football.
I don't think it works like that. You can't just wake up one morning and say, I want to play football. It is something that should be built, like I said, from the young age.
Okay.
You know, for an adult to think, I want to start playing football, man, sorry, it's too late.
Why?
Because it's a development process. It's a stage by stage
Okay, so
philosophy.
what if
yeah.
I'm just a 20-year-old person and I want to start? It's too late.
For 20-year-old, it's not too late. But the thing is, the older you get, the slimmer your chance. So if you're 20 years old, your chance is quite low.
Low.
But you can still, with the right mix, with the right people, the right agent, the right scout, the right coach, and you have to be extraordinarily good to make it as a professional footballer.
Okay, so is that why people have their football age and their real age?
There are two different things, two different ages.
Yes, is that why? Because, you know, you're saying it now that if you're that old, then you basically don't have a chance.
Yes,
You have a chance, but it's just sleep.
I'm not saying 20 now. If you're like a 30 year old.
No, 20, 30.
That's why they have their,
because
is that why?
I see older men and you check their age and just tell you they're 25. I'm like,
25.
really?
Or 21.
Or 21.
I'm sorry, but there's a particular person that said was he 17 or 19? And then he had his son that was celebrating his 17th-year-old birthday.
How did that happen?
So how, you know, so why is that why people, most footballers, let me say most, some footballers have their, you know, real age and their football age?
Yes, that's the major reason. That's the major reason, to get more chances. You know,
Okay.
the younger you are, the more chances you get, like I said. But you are right to correct yourself. Not most footballers. There are very few of them.
Few.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so let's get to the challenges. It's not been rosy all the
No,
way.
not at all.
So as a sport director,
Yeah.
what has been your challenges? Or let me not just limit it to you. You're a sport director. What are those challenges sport directors face?
Basically, knowledge is key. You know, knowledge is key. You can't just be too relaxed or too calm. You have to be out there, seeking for knowledge. Always make sure you're informed, right? Informed in the right aspects. As a director in the consultancy, in the psychology aspect, in the aspect of technology, medical aspects. It's being a director is quite really tasking. You know, there's no, as a footballer, there are points when you say, okay, right, I've achieved, I've earned this, I've made this. But as a director, it's much more than that. There is no point where you feel fulfilled. You have to keep going to the next task, to the next challenge, like you put it, and that is just it. It's never a bed of roses. You're right.
Okay, so you said as a director is tasking.
Yeah.
So what are the duties of a sport director?
Before we discussed as a football manager, but then as a sports director, now you have to be conversant with more than one sport.
Okay, more than one sport.
Yes. As a football manager, you're handling a club or an academy or a team. But as a sports director, now you should know how the administrative works is being done on the ground. You should be able to know how to function as an organization, in a committee, in a body. So it's not just a football club, but then as a committee, as an organization, as like we have the FIFAs, we have the NFA in Nigeria, we have a sports council.
Okay. So why was it that you got interested in Netherlands?
Oh, interesting question. Netherlands is a very peaceful country, a very happy country, and one very important reason I went there was because of the language.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They speak primarily Dutch, but then a huge percentage of them can communicate in English.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's very important because
So
of the
now-
communication
Now
gap.
you're in Nigeria. Why are you back in Nigeria?
I'm a Nigerian. I can't help it. My friends
home.
tell me. My friends say things like, "Man, if I had a chance, I won't come back." And I'm like, I can't stay away from Nigeria. I'm too passionate. I'm too emotional. When it comes to helping and humanity. So okay, like I've learned. I've made to an extent. I've gained some things. What can I do? How can I give back? What can I do to impact lives back home? I want to give younger kids the opportunity and the chances similar to ones I had.
Okay. All right. So I want to just divert a bit. Now I'm aware that a particular club, one of those Italian clubs, bought a very big player recently. I don't want to mention names.
Oh, no,
bought
okay.
a very big player recently.
Yeah.
Now, at what point do they think it's okay to buy a bigger player? At what point?
Clubs are always getting to outdo each other. If, like you said, they bought a big player, if they're rival teams buy big players as well or bigger players, and then the club that bought that player want to buy an even bigger player, so there is never a time when you are too comfortable. Next season they might buy someone bigger. That is, if there is someone bigger.
So there won't be complications because he was somewhere else.
Yes.
Does it have to do with the person, the footballer himself?
Yes, it does.
Or they just let him go?
It does. I mean, he decides. He has an agent.
Oh.
The agent would also, he has a manager even. So all of them will come to an agreement on what to do next. If the player starts underperforming and is not playing to the required level, of course there will be a point where the club will say, man, you better up your game or we'll find someone better to replace you.
Okay.
The game is very competitive, That is just
All right,
how it
so
works.
you've been to Netherlands, now you're back in Nigeria. Comparing football, football management, how do you think, we can improve here in Nigeria?
Comparing, there is no comparison. Yeah, that is not a good thing to say.
Okay.
Although, yeah, we're trying in Nigeria, but we're still a long way to go. We're still a long way to go. The structure, the management, the people, it's a whole different ball game. We're a long way to go.
But then we know that we have a long way to go. It'd be nice if we can prefer solutions.
The thing with Nigeria and sports is we know what to do.
Okay.
It just doesn't work. We just don't do it. For sports, or in my own case, for football to work, there has to be the right ingredients. The right system has to be in place. When you look at a country like Nigeria now, look at the security level. Look at the unemployment. Look at the literacy level. Majority of, for my own research, a wide percentage of aspiring footballers are in it because they think it's just the next best thing to do, because they want to become stars for the wrong reasons, not necessarily because they want to aspire to become football players. They are unemployed, they don't want to get busy, they want money, and then they think, okay, footballers earn money, let me play football. But in a country like Netherlands, I've had friends who they will tell you, I've had chances to play football professionally, but I turned it down. Because I love football, but I don't see myself playing football at that level. And they have other things they're doing. But in Nigeria, you would hardly find someone who has had a chance and turn it down. They don't even get a chance in the first place.
But when it comes to football, there are politics.
Of
Right.
course.
Exactly.
Of
There are a
course.
lot of politics. So how do you handle politics when it comes to football?
Politics in football, you can't separate both. There's always going to be politics in football. But the thing is, politically, are we doing the right thing? Is there corruption in the politics we're playing in football?
Okay.
And you have to separate these things. You have to make sure there's no nepotism, there is no favoritism, there is no corruption, there's no, like the scandal that happened. No bribery, this and that.
Yeah.
So you have to separate these things before it works. That's just it.
Okay, because apparently politics, it's almost in every
yes.
field.
There's nothing
People
you
do
do
politics,
that's
people do politics.
yeah.
But I think one thing that spoils business that could kill your career is not getting the right people because you're trying to favor them or for some selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we want to quickly take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about your inspiration. Of course, something or somebody may have inspired you.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll have to think about that.
All right, don't go away. We're still here with Olumide. You can call him Olu. Right back. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Exclusive to High Impact Television.
Morena. A couple of days before getting married, she finds Oscar, her fiancé, cheating on her. Morena escapes from her pain by traveling away from her life to a beautiful place in the jungle. There, she meets Leo, the man who saves her from a jaguar attack. Due to a photograph in the bag that Morena had lost, Leo realizes he is not who he thought he was. So he travels to the city to find out about his real origins, not aware that he belongs to the Sireños, a wealthy and powerful family. Leo gets involved in the murder of Morena's grandfather by Aldo Sireño, so they will have to overcome the barriers that will emerge in their lives, so they can live their passion. Morena.
Weekdays on High Impact Television.
We've come a long, long way together, through the hard times and the good. I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I
I'd love to perform in front of thousands of people.
Definitely want to be as big as Little Mix.
I want to be a singer, I want to win the X Factor because I want to be a star.
I've been waiting for this all my life.
I'm going to be as big as Beyonce.
I have the X Factor.
Everyone's dreaming of being the biggest pop star on the planet. But today, for them, the centre of the universe is right here. In Manchester!
I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel a good, good creeping up on you.
Yes, of course. This is still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. You know, and I must remind you that we are the first full HD TV station in Nigeria. So we've been talking about sport management and focusing on football, and we still have Olumide Omotosho, and as God's time, we always call him Olu. We still have him here in the studio with us, yes. And you wanted to ask about his inspiration?
His inspiration, yeah, we all have some form of inspiration. Something or somebody may have inspired us. What inspired you to get into sports, apart from passion?
What inspired me?
Yes.
Wow, that's tough. I think it's just humanity. I don't know. I think that's it. It's just I've always grown up with the mindset of helping, of assisting people, and apart from having the passion and the talent, I thought to myself the best way in which I would be able to give back to the society or help people is to get to a point in life where I'm able to influence them positively. And that's just what I'm doing, striving to do.
Okay, so do you have like someone you look up to, like a mentor or?
Man, I have mentors in different facets of life, not necessarily football or sports. So I might have a mentor in music and then look at the lifestyle or what they stood for and apply it in sports. Could be in other sports like boxing. Could be tennis, could be even in politics or in, whatever facet it is. Just apply different, principles and values of life. And it still works regardless of the discipline of the sport.
Okay, so I kind of took a sneak peek into your Twitter, your Twitter accounts, and then I saw some of the things you posted. And you've been tweeting lately about, sending people to school, taking people off the streets and then to school, the importance of education and letting people actually find a career in football and the like. So what, has been prompting that?
With my travels and then coming back to Nigeria, I discovered that footballers, not necessarily football, but football lovers can do other things apart from play football. I think I discussed it briefly before.
Yes.
And there are those who, go to the streets, you'll find young boys and girls like me arguing on football, on who the best player is, who the best team is. Some of these young kids would fare better as analysts, as pundits. But are they given the chance? Is the system in place for them to excel in these areas? These are things I'm also looking to make the public aware of. They say you love football. The sad truth is, not everyone would be able to play football. Not every aspiring footballer would be able to play football. So the earlier you discover that you can actually, diversify, the better it is for you before it's too late. And also education is very important. You would not think towards that direction if you're not properly educated.
So are you using that platform to create an awareness and then hopefully you want to do something about it?
Yeah.
Have you put anything in place so far?
I have a project going on now.
Okay.
It's called the Shoe Project.
Shoe Project.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically it's just to get shoes and help people. And one very important thing I would like to talk about that has motivated me to do this is during my masters, I did lots of research. I interviewed footballers, I interviewed, coaches, personnels, and playing football as a kid is quite tough in Nigeria. You need the equipment. The clubs and the academies don't necessarily support you if you don't have these things. Abroad, They give you the kits, the football, the cones are there. But in Nigeria, you come with your own, shoes and footballs even. And there are those, we know there are lots of poor people in Nigeria. Nigeria recently became, like they say, the poverty capital of the world. It's a very sad thing to hear, but that's the truth. That's the reality we live in. There are those who are even better than the footballers we have today as kids, but they don't have the chance to because they can't afford shoes. And no matter how good you are, trust me, your skills would not be made seen if you don't have the right shoes. So that's where I come in. So give these kids the chance to prove how good they are. Even if they can't afford one, I can give them one. And then once these clubs see that this guy is actually really good, then they take them off and continue the development.
But, saying that, there's so many things that we need to work on, and you're like, we are rebranding Nigeria. And yes, a lot of people are coming out to do, like, you are a proud Nigerian, and you're doing something about it, and you're all the Nigerians out there that are also doing something about it. So yes, for that I'm proud, because we have talented, young Nigerians that are taking the bull by the horn, and doing amazing things to rebrand Nigeria and make Nigeria a better place.
Yeah, so, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so working with kids, in football, trying to coach them and the likes, you work with different personalities. There are times I see a game and I see that most players would just react. They just snap. They have different personalities. Now, how do you manage these personalities? Is there some form of anger management course, or how do they do it? Because I know it's the most difficult aspect of life is having to deal with human beings. So how do you manage those personalities?
Different personalities. That is where a manager comes in. A coach is more straightforward, but a manager is able to, to be flexible, not too rigid. So gone are those days where you address everyone the same. Right now, even not just football, in other sports and business, you address each person based on their traits and characteristics. Someone who is quite too emotional or gets angry quicker than others, you would sort of pull that one aside and address the person differently than you would address someone who is quite open-minded and free-spirited. So it's very important to first understand your players, each of them, their personalities, have a one-on-one discussion with them. Understand. Go beyond just football for them. Understand the background, the family, what does influence this person, what makes this person who he or she is. And then when you understand how each person reacts or works, then you can address whatever issues bothering or they face, and then you can coach them better.
Okay. It still boils down to psychology.
Yeah, psychology.
Is it that they have like a one-on-one session with them?
Yeah, very important.
Oh, okay.
Very important.
Okay.
One session. Do you organize like a training for them aside training football and like sport? Like, do you organize anger management classes for them?
For kids, not really, because they're still kids. They're still going through that process where some of them don't even know if football is what they want. They're just happy playing football. They're happy kicking the football. Some of them would stop playing after a while. Some of them would divert to other sports. But as not adults, but youth or teenagers, yes, at that period from age 13, 14, up until your early 20s, now that's a period where you have to begin to shape who you are as a footballer. What is your personality? What would you want to be? What would you want to be seen as? What would you want to be remembered as? That is when we start to help them and start to,
But, when you're dealing with kids, you need to draw in their parents also.
Like I said, very important, the parent have to encourage them, even off the pitch.
Okay.
How do you deal with difficult parents that know that their children actually has this skill and this potential, but they do not want them to venture into it?
Man, it all boils down to education. Here in Nigeria, there is, I don't know if it's still rampant, if it's still widespread, but there used to be this mentality that those who are interested in playing football are the unserious ones. When I was growing up, that was the thing that when I was growing up, that dropouts or dullards, so to say, are the ones who would want to go into music or want to go into sports. So now we have to make them understand that your kid can grow up to become a footballer and own companies and influence people. You don't necessarily have to be a footballer and stick to football. Footballers now are billionaires, you know. So we have to change that mindset across the country and across the continent.
Okay. Very quickly, I'd like to ask. Most footballers, they play for a particular team, and they don't get to score goals as much as is expected. Now, what does the management of that club? Do they just lay them off, or they just keep training them?
It's quite really complicated, because you have to discover the reason why this player is not performing as much as he or she should. You know, a player might perform well at one club and then not perform as much as well in another club. You know, players work differently with their teammates and also the manager. You know, that's you will find that most coaches usually bring in their own kinds of players when they move into a team. You know, so it has to do with synergy. There has to be the chemistry amongst the players and amongst the coaching crew and even the owners of the club. And then also psychology comes in. You know, what is bothering the player? What is playing in his head? You know, could it be something with the family, something from the past that is haunting him or her? Discover these things, and when you work on it, then you can help the player better.
Okay, so this me just being curious. Is there a place for investors in football?
Of
If you want
course.
to invest,
Of
how
course.
can
Like I said, they
how
have
do one go
shares.
about it?
Yeah, football is a football club is a company on its own. You know, when the likes of the Real Madrids and the Manchester United.
You're gonna make us pay real good money. We don't.
Oh, I'm just making it. I'm just examples. They're as good as the companies you have now, the Apples and the Nikes and
We're
so
not
on.
calling brand names.
Oh, my bad.
Yes.
But I can't help it. I'm a footballer, so it's just they're companies on their own. You know, they sell shares, they have a market share, they have the trade as well. You know, so it's all the interest rates. They have everything.
It's all part of the business side.
Yeah, commercial activities flying around.
Okay.
Okay, I'm also curious. I don't know why I'm talking about this aspect. Now, as players, you of course, you can't be there forever.
Yeah.
Do they just lay them off? At what point, at what extent to which a club could say, all right, I'm done with this player, you can go now?
There is no set principle for that to work. There is no, nothing official on that. It depends
football?
it depends on the coach, depends on the player, depends on the club. You know, apart from the coach or the manager, there are administrators, there are directors in the club. So depends on the player. If the player's performing less than he should, there's a peak period in football, in sports. There's something we call a peak period. The period where that's the maximum a player can get before they start to go back down. Now when the coaches or the directors notice that happening, you have to talk with the player. Is this happening as a result of something bothering you, or is just something natural? If it's natural, then we have to seek for a solution for you. Okay. You find some players retire and then the club retains them as backroom staffs, as coaches. Oh. Yeah. Some retires and become ambassadors for the clubs. So there are things set in place to either help the footballer or everyone goes home happy, a win-win situation.
So you're a footballer also.
Yeah.
How many goals have you scored?
I'm a defender. I don't score a lot of goals. I don't score much goals.
Okay, you're safe then.
You're safe. All right, so we're going to be talking about long-term goals. What are your long-term goals?
Personally or in football?
In
Personally,
football.
In football. All right, I mean, same thing. I've established that I just want to help people. I might end up owning my own football club here in Nigeria. Yeah, that's just it. Basically, it's a dream for me to see sports in Nigeria get to that level where we can now compete, where we can now compare the word used with other countries. I'm not going to mention names. So with the more advanced countries, I mean, Nigeria right now is nowhere near, certain countries where. But in my head, I want Nigeria to get there. Look at the Olympic Games. We're a country of about 200 million people, but then we don't have the representative in the sports that countries with less than 20 million people have. They are much more successful. They're much more hungry and spirited than Nigeria. Why is that? What is lacking? What can we do to improve this? So these are areas I'm looking to to be of help or to influence.
Wow. All right. Thank you.
It's quite interesting.
Yes.
So basically, you just rounded off your masters in sports management. So I know
sports
that
business management.
Sports business management. I know that it has to do with law. It has to do with marketing,
consultancy, a lot of things.
Yes. So you're all encompassing. So you can start up. You have everything it takes to start up a club. As you said, your long-term goal. Wow, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so all right.
What have you learned?
Well, I've learned that sports is not just about picking someone. You have to look out for the potential. You have to catch them really young because it's quite easier. It's a lot more easier to catch them when they are young than when they get to their 20s. So I would subscribe to catching them young and look out for potentials. And of course, I've also learned about psychology. You have to. You don't have to be a psychologist to understand them. So you have a one-on-one chat with them, look at their family background, look at what motivates them, how they grew up and all of that. So that way, you know which aspect to fix them, if they are going to be sport analysts, if they are going to be footballers.
You've learned quite a lot.
Very good student.
Good student. And I've learned the same thing actually. She just took the words right out of my mouth, But I also learned that, sadly, that, I'm not that I'm that old, but then,
You can still play football.
No, I can't. I
No?
When you establish that, club,
I can sign you.
Yes, you sign me in.
Of
So I
course.
start playing football. I make money.
Yeah, and we cannot round off the show without mentioning, I told you I saw a video on YouTube. Yes, the Victoria team.
Victoria Boys,
Victoria Boys, yeah. I saw that video. It was beautiful. I would like to say congratulations on what you're doing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And keep up the tweets because they're actually, motivating. I read one and I had to go on and on and on. Yes.
I'm actually really bad with social media, but I'm trying these days. Trying to be more active.
Okay, so thank you so much, Olumide Omotosho.
It's a pleasure.
For coming on the show today. Hopefully we have you here for the time when that's your, because you sign me in. You have to.
Hopefully.
All right, so this that we have to wrap up the show today. My name is Mudupe Jacobs.
And I am God's Time David. Till tomorrow, take care of yourself.